Hey, Joel. It's
Hi.
Joel, not Joel.
Thank you.
Um, um, so, where are you at today?
That's a really good question. So you can hear I'm a little hoarse right now, which is why microphones are so helpful. So, losing my voice. Today was kind of a shit show, to be honest with you.
Like at work?
Yeah, like we were talking about it. Like, you know those moments when you just get like you're about to leave the crib and then like you get like 18 different messages. That's like, oh, shit is on fire. And you're like, all right, cool, bet. I gotta go.
Yeah, I
I'll be
got
fine.
somewhere to...
Yeah, I gotta literally have to leave right now and walk the dog.
You have a dog?
I do. His name is Dilla. As in Jay Dilla, in case anybody is wondering. You know. But yeah, but right now, in this moment, right now, I feel wonderful, to be honest.
I'm really grateful for you to be here.
Same.
I slid in your DMs.
You did?
I don't know, 2 months, maybe more. I don't even know.
Yeah, maybe I think it's less than 2 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you were mad open about that.
It's my specialty.
Okay.
A little bit.
I kind of wanted to start there, if you don't mind. Like,
Let's go.
You seem like this confident dude who like also colors outside the lines a little, like is always live life on your terms or something, but is also like kind and brings people together. I'm curious, like, is that you? And like, if so, is that a journey or were you like this from birth?
It feels like you're asking me, are you that dude? And I'm like,
Yeah, exactly, a little bit.
No, because, and I'm so appreciative, Cara, of us being here. And thank you for all, creating the space. But nah, I grew up in the Bronx, Crescent Avenue, 188th. You gotta say your block.
Or you do have to say your block, yeah.
Right off of Morris, Fordham Road, Grand Concourse, you know.
What are you saying? Okay, go, sorry.
But I grew up, insecure. I grew up chubby, having to shop in the Husky section. I had a Gap. Gaps weren't cool.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, it was hard. Like, I mean, long story short, like you know, I have my oldest brother was incarcerated for about 10 years, some drug shit, and then, you know, grew up in a household with a mother an incredible mother, Linda Teresa Daniels, who loved me and supported me. Grew up with a father who was a bipolar schizophrenic, who was also a Vietnam veteran, and so there was a lot of trauma in the household because of that. And so art kind of became the thing that allowed me to navigate that, unbeknownst to me at the time, but in a really heavy imagination. A heavy imagination of Saturday morning cartoons and hip-hop. It's pretty much what kind of got me through the thing, which is why, like, when I talk about reimagining systems, honestly, like, reimagining systems also, like, we talk about dismantling, but so much of that also has to be about the rebuilding. And so a lot of what I was doing growing up was dismantling whatever fears or things that I didn't have the language for it at the time, but get into a place where I could kind of strip down the layers of like, who am I, who is Joél, and get into a place where I could be more confident, be more transparent, and be open and honest, and be myself without the worry of other people receiving that in a way.
And you just naturally stumbled upon this as a young age, stumbled upon art, stumbled upon hip-hop, like...
Nah, a big shout out to my nephew's in here, Justin, his dad, Dwayne. Dwayne was the person who, because Dwayne is 8 years older than me, and so Dwayne was born in like 1976. So like, he was like in this prime age where, for me, the golden era of hip hop, which for those who want to argue about it, really is like 90 to like 96, roughly.
Okay.
Debate your mama about it, but
we can
like,
talk about that, yeah.
But like, you know, I grew up hearing Big Daddy Kane and Rakim and Cool G rap, and then by the time I was in middle school, it's like Biggie, it's Tupac, it's Jay-Z. And my brother was instrumental to that, because like, he would leave for work and he would ask me to videotape Rap City. And so,
City, yes.
And like, you know, it's a quick history lesson for those who don't remember. Prince DeJour used to host Rap City before. Joe Claire hosted Rap City, which then followed by Big Tigger, you know. But like, 2D.
Right.
But nah, like my brother was the one who introduced me to hip hop in that way, and so that's also what introduced me to rapping. Like my brother was the one who put hip hop in front of me, and then, art. Then that became the practice.
I actually kind of wanted to go there for a second.
Yeah.
I have 2 older brothers, and hip hop for me was also kind of like outlet or something.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
what is it about that medium, you think? Is it just like Black people, poetry, a beat, a vibe? Like, I guess I missed how that means so much to a generation, Black people specifically. Like, what's your thought on that?
Yeah, I mean, a beautiful question. I'll tell you, I'm gonna give you the funny, well, not funny, but like this, the first thought that came to me was,
Please.
Do you remember the Dave Chappelle episode when they're in the barbershop? And every time they pull out a drum, it's just like, that, I mean, that's the funny part of it, but like,
Yeah, true though.
the serious part of it is like, we are a people who have come from struggle, who are resilient, and have used sound and have used art and have used our abilities, our innate abilities, in order to make something out of nothing. This is why the remix is so cool, right? Like, you think about remixing and sampling. You think about what Two Live Crew was doing. You think about all these early forebears of hip hop and how they were challenging systems. Bismarcky, God bless the dead. Like, so many of us were taking the sounds and things that were available to us in order to build something, to make a construct that would allow us to survive in a system that wasn't meant for us to survive in the first place, right? And so you look at hip hop. Hip hop is the bastard child of bebop, of jazz, of funk, of blues, of disco, right? I think of, we can think of Jamaican sound systems, and like there's so much being pulled from that. And so like when you hear a Doechii rapping, what you're hearing is not just a Doechii rapping. You're hearing the presence of the 80s, of the 60s, of the 70s, of like blackness, and it's the thing that's helped us in that way. So like hip hop becomes the thing that I think is also a bit more edgy in that way. Like a lot of the forebears and ancestors before us, before hip hop, and when you're thinking about music, there wasn't a lot of like fight the power type energy to a certain extent. I think there was a bit more of a like say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud, right?
Yep.
And then we start moving into the 70s and 80s and the 90s, and it's kind of like almost on our own like heavy metal shit. Like, yo, we're not gonna take it, right? Like hip hop becomes the essence of that, I think.
Right. Okay, that's interesting. So you're kind of tapping into like, back to like the Maori. There is this intuition, this ancestral, this like gut,
Absolutely.
Connection. Okay, cool. So that got you on a path. You're in New York City. You went to arts high school?
Yes, ma'am.
And then what? Did that like nurture your, I guess, craft? Because I know you do a lot of things. You like write and you rap. Did you like come into your own in high school in that way?
Yeah, absolutely. It was the first time, like I tell people, being in high school, it was the first time I had white friends. And so like leaving the Bronx, going to Manhattan, it was literally like moving to another country for me. For like folks who don't know, who don't go, if you only go to the Bronx for like Yankees games, I'm not judging you for it. Go Mets, shout out Fred, Justin. But like, if that's all you know about the Bronx, and like I grew up in what we would describe as a hot block. Like my mom still lives there. Like across the street from us is a halfway house. You feel me? Like it's an environment that kind of forces you to like figure out the best way to survive. Some people choose different things, right? In order to make that so. And so going to LaGuardia, having to get on a train to get off at Columbus Circle, and I would walk to 66th Street. Like it was just a whole new world for me. The first time I saw a pomegranate was in high school. The first time I saw sushi, like, was in high school. And like, real
Me too,
talk,
honestly.
you know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, this is not happening where I'm from.
Yeah.
Like I was raised near a food desert, so it's like fast food, bodega. That's it. It's like there's no other options. And you go to the city, I'm like, oh snap! Like this fruit is not stale. The expiration dates are different. It's like the police are nicer. This is weird,
Okay, so then I feel like, I think about you as like a community builder too, in a way, like add it to your resume or whatever. And I feel like that must be part of it, right? Like you give back and something, but like, okay, so community for me, we're hearing a lot about community like as the antidote. And I almost don't know what to do with that, if I'm honest with you. So community, I guess what I grew up with and what I'm bringing is like community is like your little tribe. Maybe it's your church. I did, black groups like Jack and Jill and like that sort of thing. I'm evolving how I think about community a little bit, but like, what does it mean for you?
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Like you said, you're evolving. Like community's evolving for you.
Yeah.
What is it evolving into? And then I'm gonna answer.
Okay. So I don't like to talk to people, and I'll yeah, I know. Right. Okay, fair enough. I don't like to talk to strangers.
Fair.
I don't talk to my barista. I don't talk to my neighbors.
Yeah.
I don't talk to people at my kids' school like that. And so, community. Right. So, what is community? I guess. I guess it's right. I guess it's growing. Where it's like community for me was people who look like me, people who thought like me, like a really tight.
Yeah.
I don't even know what I'm trying to say. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like it was like a familiarity, or we're out, kinda. And now I'm like, look the person in the eye at when you're in the coffee shop, and I'm like, oh, this is community. I don't know what it's evolving into, but it's definitely evolving from you're like me, we're good.
Yeah. I mean, I think so. If we're using that barista as an example, right? Like I think the thing I would want us to ask ourselves is like, why do we feel the need for community? And some of that is like an egoic need, which is absolutely fair.
Yeah.
Like we want to feel comfort, we want to feel safe.
Yep.
I think Maury was talking about, when we talk about dignity, I think community also provides us some of the things that Maury was talking to, right? Like when you have a support system, people who maybe feel a bit more familiar to you, then there's opportunities to feel more dignified and how you show up in the world.
Absolutely.
And also, if the barista gets into a car accident, ideally you would also be able to help with like a mutual aid for that person, right? Like for me, what we're trying to do is broaden what community looks like, because me and the homies talk about this all the time. Like we can throw a party, we can get people in a room, beautiful people, and we can have a good time. But it's like when shit hits the fan, who are you going to turn to? Like who knows first aid? Who has a car? Who has a license? Who has a passport? Who has access to a safe house? Like real shit, because we're in real times. And so it's like having those conversations and negotiating with that, and really thinking about how we barter resources, right? It's like, I'm an artist, right? I'm a writer, I'm a rapper. I've been fortunate enough and been blessed enough with the privilege to have a platform, right? And so how can I best utilize the platform? And so if you follow me, like, I'm going to talk about the genocides. I'm going to talk about I'm going to talk about capitalism and how it's failing us. I'm going to talk about all the things, at least try to the best of my abilities. But the community is like, oh, when there's a crisis, right? Whether that be a man-made crisis, which is what we are seeing happen in front of us, or the crisis of the mind, again, to what Maury was talking to, a crisis of the spirit, right? Rather, that is self-created, right? Then it still comes back to who are the people around me who are going to support me through this thing, And sometimes you don't even know that person all the way, but like, when we see those beautiful stories of like, 18 people came together to save this one man out of a burning car. It's really beautiful. And also what I want us to recognize is like, we get to do that every single day. There are people burning literally every single day. Like asking the barista how your day is, how their day was or is or whatever, opens up the opportunity to broaden the conversation and also broaden our reach as well.
Okay, so I'm kind of grappling with two things hearing you talk like this. It's like part of it feels like it's almost self-serving, like you broaden your community because it might serve you, you might serve them, and I guess my brain is trying to like make that negative or something like that, you know what I mean? Rather than like community being just like joyful and happy. But you're also saying like you're also connecting us in a real way. That's interesting. Okay, cool. So what kind of community stuff do you do?
I mean, it's stuff like this. It's seeing where there's a need, whether that be a financial need, supporting families in need. Really, primarily, I feel like my work as a person who is in community is to find ways to bridge the gap. We were kind of talking about this and like bringing community together. I consider myself a connector in a lot of ways. So it's like, you know, oh, I'm working on this thing. I need help with this. Oh, I know somebody. You know, like I'm the person who knows a person, generally speaking. And whether that person be high on the scale of like influence, whatever, or a person who's like just has a practice or a craft. Like, oh, I need an astrologer, or oh, I need someone to help me move my van. Like, part of it is like building out a network of individuals who can all support each other in times of need. You know what I'm saying? Like, how do we? Because I think what we tend to get bogged down by is like, what can we do, right? Like, what are the options, right? Like, everything is falling apart, and it's like, honestly, sometimes just having a conversation with the brother or sister in your neighborhood who looks like they're going through a thing, right? Or, you know what I'm saying, donating to the local shelter if there was one, like in your neighborhood, right? Or again, supporting a mutual aid, starting a mutual aid. Like, a big part of also too, I've been trying to utilize community is, again, using my platform, right? Like, how are we finding ways to bring people together, and also, oh, there's a thing that needs amplification. It's my job to amplify that and to like bring people to the cause, right? Oh, there's a single mother struggling with rent. How do we get community together to support that?
Woo. And you don't get overwhelmed by all of that, like other people's hardships, and people must be in your DMs or in your texts or like sharing, like how do you stay focused, grounded? I mean, like, yeah.
I think I'll try not to make this. I'll try to make this short, not go on the tangent.
Please,
but like,
go on the tangent.
You know, I like to say like I'm taking inventory of the world, which is why I feel like I'm always deep in creativity. So I don't really like writer's block, for example. It's not a thing that I necessarily. I haven't had writer's block, and that's not like me. I'm not saying it to be like I don't get writer's block. It's I'm always writing. I might not like it. I might think it sucks, but there's never a time I'm not writing.
Interesting.
You know, it's like, and part of that's because I'm here. Like, there's a couple of things happening right now. My throat, my voice is cracking, so that was making me anxious before I got here. I was going through a lot of shit on Slack messages before I had to walk the dog and get here. I want to make sure my people who are here are straight, are good. You know what I'm saying? There's all like, I'm saying all these things because like the presence of mind to recognize there's also a thing happening. I'm also in this really pretty ass penthouse.
Right, all those things.
It's like, it's mad pretty. It's like, so it's mad pretty.
It's
and so
really
there's
pretty.
like, there's these things happening. And so for me, it's like, how do I take inventory of the thing and like take snapshots of the images and the moments? Like, that helps my creativity.
Oh, fascinating.
All that to say, my spiritual practice is a daily practice. Going back to what Maureen was saying, it's like I'm living in my practice.
Yeah.
It's taking me a while to get there, and so when the feeling of being overwhelmed, it happens. I'm a human. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think I can't remember if you and I talked about this, but I went through like a little bit of a depressive season, going like the holidays were just hard. And, you know, the weight of the world, like literally. And then also too, it's just the holidays. You know, we got kids. It's just a whole lot of other things that come with that. But my practice is the thing that also I can come back to, you know, whether it's meditating, whether it's inner child place or reading comic books, whatever the case might be.
Books.
I love comic books.
What?
Yeah,
Like Garfield?
Yeah. Nah.
I used to really, I used to get into some Garfield. I would draw a whole Garfield thing, but anyway.
I do love Garfield.
Yeah, sorry, my bad.
I love that Garfield was the first.
I want to talk about that. Can we come back to that?
Yeah.
But
he made lasagna look so good too. Like,
I know, and like Garfield's angry and mean, but he's also lovable. I like Garfield.
You remember Heathcliff? Heathcliff was like the hood version of Garfield. He's like, yeah, I'm fucking the neighborhood up.
I don't know Heathcliff.
Heathcliff, no one should terrorize your neighborhood. Huh? That was my dude. He's just like going through garbage.
What does he look like?
He's like an orange cat.
No way, so they ripped off Garfield?
Oh, for sure.
Oh, that's funny.
Which is really the evolution of Top Cat. You know what I'm saying? I'm going way back for y'all.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Okay, wait, so, okay, you, I would like to go deeper, but I have to go back because you helped me with something. when we were talking about the feeling of overwhelm, especially now for people who want to help, who want to be in action, who want to be in service. There's a lot of like, I don't know what to do, or like, I'm doing too much. And you kind of talked me off a ledge of like martyrdom, and also talked me into a place of like each in their own path, my child, kind of thing. Like we all serve our own lane, and if we each serve our own lane, it serves the whole a little bit, which was peaceful, empowering, and really grounding.
So I mean, like, how many people here care about the houseless population in New York City? Just a show of hands. Cool. How many people here care about the climate? How many people care about HIV/AIDS? Cool, right? Like, we're here. Like, and the thing is like, there might be a person who's really, really a strong advocate for climate change for whatever reason. Like, I have a really good friend, a homie of mine, John Brahman, John is like very much an environmentalist, like understands the science behind it. Like, John, so when you think about connection, John is the person I'm going to go to when I have questions about climate change. I also know John is doing everything that he can in order to fight it, right? I used to do HIV/AIDS case management back in the day, and so there's an understanding I have of the work and then also the care that I have for the population. So like, anytime that there's an initiative, I'm gonna go and support that. That might not be the thing that you care most about, but at the end of the day, it's not about you. You may not go to the protest, but you might donate $15. And it's easy to take that for granted, but it's like, those things, if everyone is doing a thing, the things add up to something, you know? And we can stay stagnant, but everything is moving. There's no such thing as static. Things are happening now, even if you're not moving, right? The kinetic energy is real, and so doing nothing is still doing something. And so I encourage us to do something. You do a thing. It's like if you don't build a muscle, you develop atrophy. And so part of the work is like doing something daily. It's a small thing.
And do your thing, right? Like
do your thing.
Yeah, do your thing. Kind of like Maury and like your own self and your higher self. And if we're all just tapped into that purpose, like, what beauty can be made.
You unlock so much.
I mean, I know we were also talking about capitalism because I'm having a hard time. Because I like money, I like jewelry, I like things, I like clothes, I want all of the things. And so I'm kind of like, I don't know what to do. And I'm like, but also, I know we were saying, like, if I was a wealthy woman, oh, the beauty I would create in this world a little bit too. So I don't know where I was going with that. But.
No, but I mean, I think it's important, and it's like, and really quickly, I want to shout out Fred Joseph in the building and Robert Jones Jr. As well. Like, we have this really beautiful Black men's writers like group chat. Oh, wow. And so like, there's a lot of conversations and dialogue we have together amongst each other and ourselves. And I think the thing I think about, and it's been happening in the group, outside of the group and conversations, is like, it's easy, and we talked about this, like conflating capitalism with like the ability to buy a thing, right? Like, the idea of commerce, right, and trading goods and buying goods and supply and demand, like, that's always existed before capitalism, right? And so I think part of it is I think it's important to ask ourselves, why do we want money? Yeah. Right? Yeah. Why do we want a certain amount of money? How much is enough? How much is too much? And I think, again, I'm going to keep coming back to Maury and intuition here, because intuition also offers you discernment. And if you don't have a practice that allows for discernment, it's like, yo, I'm just gonna make money. And you're like, you look at people like Jay-Z used to be my idol. I wrote a whole essay in the book about how I can't really fuck with Jay because he's a capitalist. And part of that is like having to recognize that I still bump the music. I'm not gonna lie about that. But I also have to recognize that when a person decides to upend hundreds upon hundreds of long-living Brooklyn residents in order to build a Barclays Center under the guise, right, that it's going to provide more jobs, more safety, whatever the case. And it's bullshit. It's like, I need to make money. I want to make more money. I want to be a billionaire. Yeah. And there's like there's an egoic need attached to that. Christine Platt wrote this book called Afro Minimalist. And so a lot of what she's calling attention to is like the idea that capitalism enforces our need to have stuff. Like, we need stuff, and it's like we say we want stuff, but we're not asking why we need the stuff for, right? And it's like, I had to do that for myself. Like, we've been emptying out the closets, both literally and figuratively, right? The idea of like, do I need the thing? And why do I need the thing? And so like so much of that is like we shop out of guilt, we shop out of shame, we shop because we feel like we're missing something, right? Like there's a need that's not being fulfilled. And again, if I'm gonna bring this back probably another time to like Maury of like, what is the inner child asking for, right? And like we're doing all the other things but feeding it what it's asking us for, which is love, which is support, which is kindness, which is like, I don't know, a hug, or like I need attention.
Right.
And so we feed it in these other ways. And like we see it. You can look at Amazon, you can look at all these other things, these giants, these tech giants that are literally destroying us. But we can't stop. We can't stop because I need to get the thing today. I need it today. I need it now. I need the like now. I need the comment now. I need the share now. And it's like, how long are you willing to wait for your liberation? And it's like we say we want to be free, but then we keep doing things that keep us in bondage, you know?
Yeah.
Like I need to order the thing. It's like, why? Like you are actually functioning without it, and that's what capitalism does. It convinces you that you need the thing. Like even when you didn't ask for it.
Right. You didn't even
like,
know
here
it was
you
a
go.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
like, oh my God.
I don't even need this. That's really okay. So you said you're in like this idea of discernment, the ego. I didn't know you were doing this kind of work. It makes sense, obviously, knowing you, but like that being tools to help you reject shit that's not serving.
Friendships, partners, whatever the case might be. It's like if I'm in my practice and I'm rooted in my practice, right? Straight spine. Like if I'm rooted,
spine.
I'm saying,
Yes.
like she was preaching. I don't know if y'all was hearing, but it's like if I'm rooted in the thing,
Yeah.
it makes it way easier for me to be discerning about what is and isn't for me.
Oh, I love that so much.
Right? It's like, oh, this is not, and it looks shiny, but it's like, nah, that's not it.
Yeah, it's not
That's
it, though.
That's
Exactly,
not it.
yeah.
It looks like it.
Yes,
but it's
exactly.
like, nah, this is not the real deal. This is Heathcliff.
Who is Heathcliff? Okay, that's really interesting. Wait, in alignment, this feel right. I still get tripped up like that. Okay, so I'm since I'm like action oriented, you know, like to do a lot of things. I will see that bag or that vacation and that thing, but I'm getting better about like, okay, that's still gonna be there if I still feel this way. So it's also like a patience, a pause kind of situation too.
And it's like, and also too, we have to afford ourselves grace. Like, and I say that because the system has done a really good job of convincing us that we are less than, we're not worthy, we need the thing now, we need the gratification now. And so it's that practice of being able to come to like to the pause. Like we have this thing at work called pause moments. And it's a thing that I love because what it says is like there's a thing happening and we're like, okay, let's stop for a second, pedal back, like what's happening here, right? Because then you start seeing the swirl. I know you see it. It's like it's the thing that could have been an email that's now like 15 meetings on your calendar.
I have no patience.
Because people aren't talking with each other. We're talking around each other. Where Becky said this to Jane, and then Jane and Tom were doing like, but no one's talking.
100%.
Right?
God, that drives me nuts.
Yeah, but it's like because people aren't like, okay, let me just slow down for a little bit and really investigate what's happening here.
Yeah, right. Okay, so I love that. You know, I kind of want to go into this space with you that I haven't really explored much myself, which is about masculinity, femininity. You know, there's a moment where some people are saying we need more masculinity and stuff like that. And like, if I'm honest with you, I don't know what to make of that because I don't know how I feel about masculine versus feminine anyway. I have a lot of quote unquote masculine energy. I got a lot of feminine energy. I like sometimes music, hip hop, this will give me like the masculine energy that I need. So I'm just kind of curious, like, are you tapped in on this?
I think when a lot of people say they want masculinity, I think what they're asking for is patriarchy, whether they know it or not. You know, I think there's and I don't think we have enough dialogue about this. The idea that there's a certain way that we want men to be without recognizing that there's been a pattern of behavior that existed, right? A system that existed that conditioned men to behave in a certain way. And so if I tell 5-year-old Joél, listen, the only way you're going to get ahead is if you're like alpha, if you're strong, and you've been telling me that since I was 5, I grow up to be 42-year-old, and all of a sudden you're telling me, but you know, I know you've been hearing that, but what I also need you to do is be emotionally available, to be stable, and also I'm gonna expect you to figure out how to do that, and also get to the tools, get to the resources. And again, this is not an excuse. Like, I want to be very clear about this. Like, we get to hold men accountable. We should be holding men accountable. I think the problem is like, there are certain parts of patriarchy that I think we recognize people benefit from, right? To a certain extent, to a certain degree.
Of course.
Right? And so the work for me is, and you said something I think is interesting, because I don't see it as verses. It's very much masculine, feminine.
Yeah.
You know, like, I didn't know, like, I have feminine energy. We all do. We all have it, right? And so there's you know, I think my mom gave me a construct, whether she wanted to or knew it or not, for like softness. You know, I've just always been soft. The thing is, you grow up in a neighborhood where being soft will get you murdered. Like, you can't be soft. And so, like, when you meet a man who's like this, it's because he didn't want to be like this. He had no choice, right? And like, this is learned behavior. Like, a man is not coming out the womb like, yeah, I'm
right. Right, yeah, shut up, I'm just gonna punch you in your, even though my son, a little bit, like.
But like, part of it is like, there's a masculine energy, and then we get to like, think of it like a thing, you know, when you apply heat to a thing, right? You can shape it into anything you want to, you know? And so we get to shape the existence of our children. It starts with them. There's a lot of brothers who are kind of far gone. I can't help them. You know, but like, I can talk to my nephew about what it means to be quiet and still. Like, I bring this up, he'll bring it up too, but like, him being 16 and us having a conversation about what it means to just be in silence. No one was talking to me about that when I was 16. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't have that language, and so I get to give that to him. And so, and I also want to be clear, I'm not saying that it's a woman's job and like, or anyone's job to like bring a man forward, but my work as a person who's still healing and still trying to expand and grow is to share what I've learned, like with other brothers who are trying to figure out a world in which they've been told and taught that the only way they're gonna get ahead and be valuable is through what they do, right? What they do, how they do it, right? So like, you gotta work, fuck me good, and take care of me.
Yeah, literally.
Are you taking care of yourself? Are you in therapy? And if you are in therapy, are you not just taking the language, but are you integrating it into a practice that allows you to show up in the world?
Yeah.
How are you taking, like, I was having a conversation with somebody about this recently. It's like, it's not about taking care of women, it's about taking care of humans. Because if you're taking care of human beings, everyone else is gonna feel the effect of that. Yeah. I gotta take care of myself first. Like, if I'm not a safe repository for the things that matter to me, I cannot be safe for other people. And men have not been taught how to be safe for themselves. We're taught to make other people safe. And so the work for me is like, bro, get safe. Love yourself. Pour into yourself. What does love look like to you? I like to be touched.
I know.
Like, intimacy.
Yeah,
like, I have intimate friends. Like, my friendships are all intimate because I love my people. And so in order to do that, I have to create safe spaces for them. But the only reason I can do that because I had to go through the practice of creating a safe space for myself first.
That's really beautiful. That is really, really, really beautiful. Thank you for answering my DM.
Thank you.
Thank you for being a strong, creative, open-minded man who stands for other people and for yourself, and sharing that on Instagram. Your Instagram makes me nervous because you're sharing everything, and I told you this, because it's like, I don't even know where to tap in sometimes. But like, thank you for being that amplification, and I look forward to our friendship, buddy.
Same.
Yeah.
Same, girl.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks.